I'll say we're at 6:30. We'll just wait for at least one more person to get here for quorum. All right, it's 6:41 by my count, so Dana and I were just discussing, we're gonna get started with the meeting. We can hopefully get through at least the updates and non-voting items, and then one of them will get here before we get to the voting section, so we will call to order at 6:41. Can I get the roll call, please? Here. Here.
Here.
Here. Thank you. Can I get a motion? Oh, are we allowed to do that even? No? I don't know. Well, I guess we could skip ahead to public participation for now. It does not appear that we have any public participation, though. I will take a moment to look around the room very thoroughly and make sure. No public participation. Board communications. Does anyone have any communications for the board tonight? Mr. Harper?
Yeah, I'd like it on record that if you're going to make a commitment that you're here on time, it is disrespectful to our time and the people wanting to make presentations. This is absolutely ridiculous. And I will let him know, and anybody else. If you're not going to be here, let you, Dana, know. This is a waste of my time.
I'll check in with my caucus too. I appreciate that. Thank you. I did want to take a moment to recognize the passing of Stanley Summers, Steve Summers' dad, on April 30th. He also served on the county board from 1972 to 1978. So he's not necessarily this exact room, but been in this position as well. Just take a moment to think about Steve and his family this week as they prepare for a final goodbye to their dad. Okay, no other communications? All right, we can get started with the update on the County Plaza parking deck renovation with Carla Smalley.
So just as a reminder, parking deck, Bailey Edwards is the architect of record for the work renovation of the parking lot to make sure that it's in good standing order for when the building opens back up and our staff can park there again. Deuce Construction, a local construction company, was hired to bid. The contract amount was $444,700. We've paid today in 4 pay applications, $337,000 and some change. So we're, rapidly, we're closing in on the end. They're virtually done. You want to give us an update where they're at?
Sure. I talked to Deuce this afternoon, and they said that all work is complete, except for the 6 bollards that are on the south side of the parking lot. They've actually requested a punch list walkthrough, and they could get started on any items that are outstanding, and then we could come back and look at the bollards later. But the bollards are probably 3 to 4 weeks out still.
Any questions on that? So punch list status typically means you're just about done, but that's still going to be the 6 weeks or so you said for the okay.
those
Right.
bollards, yes. So we'll come back and look at the bollards after they're on site and installed. But then this way, at least Deuce can wrap up all the other work if we identify any outstanding items.
Will you schedule a meeting then for us to do a walkthrough? Okay.
All right, thank you. Next up, we have a discussion, update on the County Plaza renovation project. So you could stay up there, Carla. We've also got Austin from Bowen Russo for this one.
Yeah, just give everybody a reminder. Bailey Edward Architecture architect of record for the project, Warren Russo, who Austin represents. He's also the on-site manager for our project. The contract amount for this was $18,825,000. We've had one pay app submitted to this day, just a little over $1 million. We did receive a pay application number 2 from Warren Russo today, so we'll be processing that. Bailey Edwards has already looked at it, signed off on it, validated it, and we'll share that with you at the next meeting once it gets through our auditor's process here. And with that, you guys want to give us an update on what's been happening there and show some of our members some photos.
All right, Dan's on it. Just a second here.
Sorry, all demo work is complete outside of any additional work we're finding. So demo portion is wrapped up. Fifth floor through first floor steel has arrived. That was last week, and we got another load today for the lower level. So steel installation for all the records rooms, any high storage areas in the building, that work is going on now. So I anticipate that to take 5 to 6 weeks. It's about 125 beams and 2-piece sections. So those are going up now. Interior stud framing on 4, 3, and 2 is in works, and additional backing and top of wall drywall is being completed. So some photos would help with that, but we'll get there in a second.
Sure. So I think everyone should have a list of change orders that we've already approved and executed. As you know, change orders number 1 and 2 were net deducts to the project, roughly in the order of magnitude. 1, I think, was 85,000. I think 2 was what, 90?
Yeah,
90,000 plus or minus. So now that, like Austin said, we've got all the demo done, we can see where all the issues are. So one of the items is some additional insulation at the exterior wall cavities around the columns that the vertical chases on the exterior of the building. It was found, at least in a handful of the ones that we've opened up, that there was no or very little insulation in those areas. So we've requested to insulate those areas, some spray foam insulation, and to do some blocking off between the floor levels for smoke and fire reasons. That one I think will be seen here very shortly. I don't think that we had it when we put together this board package. The other one that was on the list, was it the square footage of decking?
Yeah.
No, it was the steel at the roof deck. So briefly, when we were in design and we opened up the ceiling, we had looked at some of the areas there in the center part of the underside of the roof, and we found joists that were at 4 foot on center, the size that we expected, the spacing that we expected. Looked like everything was fine. Well, again, when we got the demo done, we noticed that on the outside bays, the joists were actually shallower and further apart. And we've actually seen, now that we can get up there and look at it, that we've seen some deck failure in those areas. It's smushed, for lack of a better term, around some of those areas. So the structural engineer has taken a look at it. They've done, their review and have provided some recommendations that yes, we need some additional steel, and if we keep the spacing of the joists at those bays, that really the deck needs to be deeper. It needs to be a 3-inch deck instead of an 1.5-inch deck. So those numbers are going to be coming to you guys here in the probably next week or so. What was the other one? Oh, yeah, there's some additional steel that's required where the vault was removed at. And I think there was also, we found a half demolished set of stairs that were above the ceiling on the lower level. where it was, I guess they demoed it up to the ceiling and then stopped and then just put the ceiling in and didn't demo the rest of it. So we're looking at wanting to demo out the rest of that stair, really just to get it out of there, get it out of our way now that we've got everything opened up. And the curtain wall. I think the curtain wall was, so when we did the demolition around between the 4th floor and the 4th floor ceiling and the 5th floor, after we removed that triangular piece of veneer panel, we realized that there was some structure that was protruding out into that area that would interrupt where the curtain wall would be continuous from the 1st floor up to the 5th floor. So we've worked with Bacon Van Buskirk and with Brown Russo to try and get a detail where we can skirt around that existing structure rather than try and cut it off. That would, I think, would be much more expensive, trying to remove that structure. Change a little bit of the curtain wall detailing there so that we can get around that and make a good seal in a system that can be warranted. So that number will be coming as well. So I feel pretty comfortable. I know that some of these, I know that some of these may be large numbers, but I feel very comfortable that now that we've got the entire building opened up, we can see where all the issues are. I think after these hurdles, we really will be able to move forward with very little change orders.
Yeah, as a reminder, we've got about $1 million that we've held as contingency for unforeseen things that we knew we're going to find. And, the roof and its shape was a bit of a surprise. The 16 long white pieces that that Carla and Austin described with lack of insulation was a surprise. However, after talking to folks who both worked in the building years ago and Bacon Van Buskirk, the building has had a problem for years since it was built with cold drafts, particularly close to those long, tall pieces on all 6 floors. So when they opened it up and found not only no insulation, but also some holes in the exterior that water penetrates and get in, and obviously cold weather. So this will, I think the end result of all of this, and yeah, we're going to spend a little bit more money on it, but I think it's going to be a terrific building for the county and for the employees that are working there. It'll be a comfortable building. to be in any climate, so. Anyway, we do have $1 million set aside, as I said. If for some reason we go past that, we have some other things that are available. Keep in mind that we're building this with bonds, or paying with this with bonds, as well as the satellite jail consolidation project. And I think to date, we've earned about $98,000 on interest off of funds for the County Plaza project, and about $92,000 for the satellite jail. So those will continue to build. Obviously, as we start paying off pay applications to both contractors, that'll dwindle down and slow down the interest build. But those funds are also available. And talked with Tammy extensively about this, that they can be used if necessary. So we'll just have to see. We know that some of this is going to be expensive. Others haven't. The good news is so far we've saved through some change orders done early on about $180,000. Yeah, we're going to shoot past that. But good news is we have another $180,000 to work with you know, good building thoughts and ideas submitted both by Bourne Russo and Bailey Edwards. So it's been a benefit to have both involved in this project. So with that, I think we have to hold till we have a quorum, because we can't vote on it.
Well, if there's any questions, because I have a question actually, and I was trying to locate people, so I apologize if you covered this already. Is there potential for more credit change orders down the line as the renovations continue, or do you think that really will dry up as like demo ends and?
There's a potential with a fencing change that I'm working through with the supplier now, SK, and a new local vendor. So that looks promising. I don't know the order of magnitude yet on that cost, but it could be, anywhere from 5 to 10,000. So.
I think we have another one for the signage.
Yeah, the signage, to use Ace Signage as a vendor. For the signage package, there's a $3,000 credit that we have captured with them. So we're going through the submittal process and color selection now before we formalize that.
Great, thank you. Any other questions? Yep, okay, so we're on hold for the approval of the change orders.
Did
Sorry.
we want to look through some of the pictures?
Yeah, that would be great,
We got those
actually.
up and, okay. Yeah, so what you're seeing here is one of those cavities that on the outside of the building are the white vertical elements on the white on the exterior of the building. So this is where they've opened up one of those cavities, and actually what you're seeing is the back side of that panel with zero insulation in it. Now, some of the walls underneath the windows, they had some bat insulation in there. There was a stud wall that came out and wrapped around on the interior that had some about 1 or 2 inches of board insulation in it as well. So anyway, it seems like if we're going to take care of this and you guys are going to be in this building for the next 50 years, we want everyone to be comfortable. So, and the utility cost is another added benefit too. Did we want to go back to the beginning? I think I'd switched to that one, so go ahead.
Yeah, this is first floor structural steel installation ongoing. So just showing that process there. They're kind of the typical 2-piece beams. They're getting jacked up and welded into place. Staging of the beams for future installation. That's that column we just looked at. Second floor plumbing rough-in is already underway. Then as we go up, you'll see mechanicals have started rough-in on third floor here. Interior studs are up. And then fourth floor, interior studs, mechanical systems are in place, and electrical systems are getting roughed in as well. Blocking for bathrooms ongoing. And then top out of walls, fourth floor. They'll be finishing up top out this week, and then continuing down third floor, second floor. So there's more top out and above ceiling rough in. And then this is all getting inspected by GHR mechanical engineer. And then this is fifth floor. All mechanical systems are in place and hydronically tested. So
What's the big blue one there?
oh, that's duct wrap.
Okay.
That just keeps the dust out of your brand new.
So it's just a
ductwork.
really wide duct
Yep.
compared to what I
Yep, it's one of the
Okay.
supply ducts.
got it.
Yeah, we were trying to keep a 8-foot ceiling height at the fifth floor, but as everything came out of the units on the roof, those ducts can sometimes get very large, so.
Any other questions? All right. Thank you. I think we'll have to move forward to the update on the satellite jail consolidation for now.
If you don't mind hanging in there for a little.
We do have one person definitely on the way, so we will be able to vote, but, and yes, I've already sent my nasty gram.
All right, we've got from Reef Sac Reed, Chris Beazer, and from PJ Horr, you have Matt Brown, who's in charge of the project. They've also brought some photos, but you guys want to give us an update on where we're at and what you've been able to do to date?
Yeah, so we're excited to have kicked off the project about a month in. So a lot of site work has been happening. I'll run through a few pictures here to show you our progress. You might have saw it as you drove in. But you can see here in this photograph that we're getting some of the footings in. We're about 25% done with the concrete placement of footings. Once we get about halfway, we'll start behind it with some walls, some foundation walls as soon as that concrete cures up to strength. You can see here to the left, we've built up the pad for the new jail, approximately 3 foot. We've brought in soil and built that up to the appropriate elevation. So we're looking here at the retention ditch. So this is a portion of the ditch on the south side of the existing jail. We've used some of those spoils to build up the pad. And here is a parking lot area. So on the north berm, that's on the east side of the property, we've cut some of that out. We've started to bring in some aggregate for the parking lot there on the north side of the building. And we're saw cutting existing concrete to get utility trenches in. So we're going to be running the power and the gas from the existing facility over to our new facility here in the next couple of weeks. Here again, another picture of our folks doing some rebar there for the footings where it connects to the existing jail. Same photo. Here's an area that's prepared for concrete placement. And then here's the inlet for, I know these aren't that exciting of pictures, but the inlet for the ditch, for the retention pond. And then here's the section that we do have placed. So hopefully next month we can have some more exciting photos for y'all, but that's what we have. So here in the next couple of weeks, we'll continue with the excavation and placement of foundations and footings and the walls, and hopefully continue with the retention basin. And then from there, we'll just start masonry here in about the middle of the month. So that'll be a big milestone for us.
It's definitely been a change driving up to Brookins now and seeing the work going on back there. So I look forward to more updates and seeing more of this. It's been a long time coming. Anybody have any questions on the progress? Ms. Locke?
Can you speak to any surprises that we've found along the way, perhaps an excavation or anything? Have there been any surprises?
As far as the excavation itself, typically we would normally find poor soil where our building pad would be going, and luckily to this point, we only had a very small area that required additional soil, which they've pulled from the retention area. So we were able to avoid those types of unknowns. One of the items that we are going to talk about is the expanded basin, which unforeseen, I guess, is sort of the word.
Yeah, we've been real fortunate. We were surprised because the ground was so wet. It retains a lot of water. The soil borings were, I guess we're optimistic that we'd have get through the whole building pad without finding any bad soil, and we did. So we were able to make it all work. And, I mean, it's just a small section in the parking lot that we had to bring in a little bit of rock, but I feel that we got pretty lucky in the earthwork and building up the pad. So I think that's a good thing.
Any other questions? Oh, Mr. Harper?
This is for Jennifer. I thought you were going to ask if they found buried treasure.
That's for me to know.
I will say I was wondering if there's any protected artifacts or anything like that.
Oh gosh, that would be like a stop work order and bring in an archaeological crew, and oh my gosh, that would be unfortunate. So thank you for the update.
Yeah, the answer is no.
Okay.
No surprise.
So again, we do have somebody on the way who will give us quorum. I apologize for telling you that you'll have to wait just another minute. If Dana, if you
I can
wanna-
ask a question.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say if you want to have a question, perfect.
When is the estimated completion date?
Yeah, so it's the spring of next year, we'll have the building up and running. We're optimistic that come winter, we'll be able to, I guess I'll say late spring, early summer, we'll have the building to the point to where we'll start to talk about a transition into the existing, to the new building. And then from there, the project's not really done because we have to go into the existing building, into master controls and do some renovations. And then we have to upgrade the security technology there, the cameras, the access control, things like that, bring that onto our new system. So we're looking about an 18-month duration with opportunity for improvement.
All right, thank you. Do you want to do the update on the satellite jail HVAC project Ameren grant checks? Sure. Oh, we got our quorum. Woohoo! We can still move on with that item, and then we'll come back and. Oh, should we do that? Well, do we need to go back first and do the approval of the agenda? And I think we
Oh,
should
yeah.
probably
Yep, you're right.
step in and do the start stuff then. So we could get through that real quick. If I could get a movement,
So moved.
Ingram
Second.
and Locke. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, so that passes. Approval of the minutes from the March 7th, 2023 meeting.
Second.
So moved Harper? Sorry, did you say second? Okay, second, okay. All in favor? Any opposed? Woo, all right, so those pass, thank you. We can move on now, if that's all right, with the folks from Bailey Edward who were first. Can we, okay, we'll just keep going then with the discussion and approval for the change orders.
If you don't mind, we'll just hit them with the change orders.
Right, exactly, yeah.
So, you want to, excuse me, you want to go over, Chris, in your packet, agenda packet was a note from Chris as well as some information that Matt put together for us. But basically highlights the two that I think we're talking about, the retention basin and then the fiber. So I'll tell them briefly about the fiber. So and when you call Julie to come out and to locate your utilities, they don't look for fiber. Our IT folks understand and know and made us all aware that there's fiber out there. We all assumed that it was down at a decent level, 3, 4, 5 feet down. Well, this fiber was 10 to 12 inches down, and not only is it in the way of the retention basin on the south side of the building, but it's also in the way of the pad and digging on the northeast section, which runs over to JDC. So in order to get this out of the way quickly, so we don't cut it and have problems both with the jail and JDC, we've asked for pricing with subcontractors from PJ Her and have a price so they can do some directional boring, get it down at a distance that and put in some handholds so we can make the connections. So when IT wants to upgrade their fiber in their system for countywide later, they can come back in and tie into this. So it won't be, it'll be an expense right now to get it where it needs to be out of the way, but IT will be able to use it for the future. So take a little out of that. That was 24,000, I believe, and some change.
34.
Yeah, 34.
And
Sorry.
Dana, if you look at the picture that just happens to be up, you can see the fiber line. Okay, so it's got to go underneath the excavated area. So that's an example of an area we have to bore under.
And just to add on a little bit, that fiber was scheduled to be relocated in the future. This would just be something we would do now since it's in our way.
Chris, you want to cover the 95 study by Burns Clancy, the information that we used at the beginning of this project as kind of a basis for the current retention basin and what we've learned since then?
Yeah, I'll do my best. So during our design, we were given a copy of the existing stormwater management report from 1995. And in that report, it had mentioned that the basin as then designed was over designed or larger than it needed to be and would have an additional 0.92 acre feet to help accommodate any runoff or reduce flooding from storms larger than the 50-year storm. And they had that in mind for any potential future work at Brookins or at that jail. So in our view, that was a design that we could use as a basis of our understanding. And when we calculated the addition to the jail, it came in under that number. So we were confident that the basin was already sized for the added square footage that we were adding. We asked, or we presented that to the city of Urbana to see if they could take a look at it and give us any feedback on that particular finding. And at that time, they were like, no, we can't review it until we get the full set of documents and we do our plan review. So when we submitted our plan review, one of the comments back was they asked for us to re-look at those calculations done in that existing stormwater management report. We updated the stormwater management report, sent it back to the city, and they wanted some more documentation proving that that analysis was actually meeting the code. So our civil engineer went back and redid that several different times, different ways, and found that something wasn't adding up. The report either was incorrect, something had changed over the years since that report had been made. Somehow the survey, the report, and the calculations weren't together. So in order for us to meet the city code and to get the building permit, we had to give them a design for an enlarged basin to make up the difference in those numbers. All of that had already come after bidding was finalized, though. So these are items that come in as a change order because we were already under contract by the time we got this figured out.
Any questions on this one?
Did you go over the amount?
What we've got right now is a not to exceed price for digging out and then grading and seeding the expanded detention basin area for $183,937.69. We are going to ask that they track that on a time and material basis, make sure that we can all be confident that that number is the number.
So those are the two change orders that we're submitting and asking for approval to move forward. Just as a reminder, I can approve up to $25,000 on change orders, particularly the ones that are time sensitive, that we need to move on quickly. If they're not time sensitive and it's still under that, I will bring them to you, as well as obviously anything over 25. So, but we need to, unfortunately, move forward, and this is something that's just we got to be in compliance with. And we understand that the 95 study and what got built somehow doesn't jive, but we've got to fix the problem. So,
Right, so can I get a motion to approve let me make sure I'm reading the correct thing here, the change order for ITB 2022-009 Satellite Jail Consolidation Project? Mr. Harper and Ms. Locke. I don't see that we need to do this as a roll call, so all in favor? All right, any opposed? All right, so that passes.
thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Can we bring
Yep.
Bailey Edward back up? Thank you for your patience on this. We'll go back to your change orders. That's on page 5 of the packet for anyone who's slipping back.
I think I've got them listed here. I'll just kind of read them real quick. So, the first one is removal of the unforeseen stairwell in the lower level. It's in the ceiling. It was $14,172 and change. Second one was the removal of the perimeter soffits on levels, lower level, first floor, second, third floor, and fifth floor. We had already approved just as a test on the fourth floor. So for these 5 floors is $43,038. And then we need to order and place the missing steel underneath the vault area, underneath the first floor. That's $24,250. And then the exterior wall panel insulation, that's a spray panel, spray insulation, is $177,333. So we're submitting those now, and as a reminder, we've had positive change orders to date of $185,911. It's the rack up so far. And then these negative charges will be about $298,000 and some change. Again, we've got a little over $1 million in contingency. we know there'll be some additional expenses that we've talked about already. But we need to move forward with this. The wall panel installation has to be done. That's just it's a no-brainer. We're going to the trouble of replacing all of the glass on the exterior to give us a better, a drier, a warmer space. Makes no sense not to insulate these panels that will cause problems on all 6 floors, so.
No, I agree. That's also going to theoretically keep down our utility bills for the property. So any other questions on these change orders? Information needed? Anything? Okay. So all in favor? Oh, I thought we already moved for that one. No, we didn't? Okay, so let's move for, I'm sorry, I'm jumping all over this today. Discussion and approval of change orders for ITB 2022-008 County Plaza renovation project. Sorry, who said that? Ellie? Second is Locke. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right, that passes. Thank you. Okay, so
Appreciate your time.
again, jumping all over, this puts us down to F, right?
Yes.
Okay. So discussion and approval of 30-day extension of electric service to Verizon's equipment at County Plaza.
Yeah, Austin doesn't want to hear this one. Okay, so we've purchased the building from Busey April 5th of '22. On April 7th, we notified Verizon of our desire to not extend but end the contract per the contract that was cut with the previous owner and Verizon for the cell relays on top of the roof for May 31st in 2023. They've been informed we'll disconnect the power in the morning of June 1st, about 6:30, and pull the meters. They're not happy about it. They also have in the contract, unfortunately, up to 90 days to remove their equipment. Well, it causes us a problem because we've got a bunch of very heavy cables on a roof that need to be relocated so that we can tear off all the equipment on the roof, tear off the roof, start working on the metal deck. We certainly don't want to put metal cables and all the stuff that comes with it back on a brand new rubber membrane. So they've kind of complained about it. We've had Matt Bannock and I on several phone calls with them. They understand the need for the project not to slow down, but from their perspective, there's going to be lots of people without use of phone in the area, and they throw out emergency staff and hospital staff and police, and then we carefully remind them that, well, that's your customers, Verizon customers, that's not anybody else who has a phone service. Not to mention the fact that, again, you have been notified on April 7th with the letter that you verified you have received and understand. Why is it taking so long for you to find a secondary site, to be able to move your equipment? So we kind of go around in circles. So with the delay of our roof, we thought initially that we were going to be able to start our roof replacement on June 1st. That is not the case. It's going to happen now in July. So we've talked with Braun Russo about the concept of, well, what if we offer them a 30-day extension of power? We're not extending the contract. We're not changing the contract, but we'll do an agreement put together by Matt to give them 30 days, providing at the end of those 30 days, they immediately remove their equipment, which is a change. So Braun Russo feels pretty good about that. Matt's involved and says, let's give that a try and see what we can get them to do. It's certainly worthwhile. So I wanted more than just Matt and I saying we could do this. And I'm really looking, I guess, for buy-in and approval from the Facilities Committee and the board to be able to say, hey, we're doing the best we can, but here's the only thing that we can do for you. We can give you an extra 30 days if that will help you. But you've got to remove your equipment. In order for us to do this, you need to remove your equipment at the end of those 30 days. So come June 30th, July 1st, you need to start pulling stuff off. Braun Russo's even gone to the extent of saying, you know, we're going to have a crane there. We can help you. If you bundle it up, we'll, you know, pull it off and drop it down on your truck, which saves them some big dollars, frankly. So we feel good about this and are bringing this to you and hope that kind of approve the concepts, and we'll get Matt to put together a new document, 1 or 2 pager, letter of understandings, something that's got a little teeth in it, but yeah, try and give that a go. Any questions?
Yeah, I actually, could you just confirm the dates for me again? This was April 7th of 2022 that they were, so
Yeah.
they've had a year that they've known about it,
Yeah.
and
Yeah. Sorry, in your packet, I included the lease from the previous owner. And then I believe I included after the lease, a letter that was signed by the executive. And it was sent out on the 7th of April of '22.
any other questions on that? It seems more than generous of an offer to me, so can I get a motion to approve discussion and approval of the, pardon me. A motion to approve the extension of electric service to Verizon at the County Plaza building?
So moved.
So Ingram and Locke. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right. Thank you, Dana. Yes, that seems like a very generous offer, so hopefully that gives you some leverage. Okay.
We're gonna see what it does. Obviously, this goes to the board, but we will have another follow-up Thursday afternoon, actually, with Matt and I and 2 of Verizon's representatives who we've been dealing with. So
Okay.
we'll keep rolling here, if you don't
Yeah.
mind. So this is just an informative So satellite project, a lot of you got tired of hearing from because it seemed like it went on forever because of the significant delays in the equipment, production of the equipment that was necessary to finish the project. But the great news is that there's 3 checks, 3 Xerox copies of checks. These are these Verizon grants that are available that we apply for. So between the 3 checks, we've got $124,436. We do that on every project. You'll see not as significant now with the addition going on to the satellite jail because we've just upgraded the rest of the HVAC system, but we'll get some money back on the geothermal and maybe a boiler. So we'll get something back from those things. But we try and do that on every project. We're applying. Has not been approved yet, but we'll be applying for a number of grants for the county plaza as well, since we're making significant changes in the equipment and the efficiencies of the equipment that are going in there.
Okay, any questions on that for Dana? Great, okay. On to H, the discussion and approval of the resolution naming County Plaza Building in honor of Scott M. Bennett. The resolution is attached, and I don't know if Kyle, if you want to speak to that, or if...
Sure, I'll be brief. This is, I drafted this resolution. Some of the language is directly from his obituary. And I guess, I think all of us familiar with Senator Bennett, many of us knew him. That's somebody who worked with both sides of the aisle, sort of led by listening type of character. And he also was a assistant state's attorney in Champaign County. And he handled a lot of really important cases, particularly sensitive cases. And I think that he exemplifies a spirit that, I'd hope that most elected officials would strive towards. So I think it's, a very appropriate resolution. I did speak with his family. They were supportive of this. And I guess I would just ask that if this is approved by the committee, that it be left off of the consent agenda so that the full board can see it. And just so, all it takes is one member to request that. Nobody needs to necessarily vote no. So.
Any questions or discussion on that item? Mr. Harper?
I understand where you're coming from, Kyle, but I personally have nothing against Mr. Bennett. I've had numerous conversations with him, especially during legislative meetings through the Farm Bureau and on school funding for my 22 years on a school board. But I don't see this happening right now. I will vote no on this. And again, nothing against Senator Bennett. I met with him. He's a great person, and as you said, worked with both sides of the aisle. But this is the county building. It's the county administrative building where everything's run in this county. And I'm against naming everything. I mean, the next person along is fine. But to me, if we had to pick a name to do this, we have an individual that worked for 40 years for this county, 18 as our county administrator. And when I met her in 2012, when I ran for this position, I was astonished at what she could do with the money that was available at that time. And if I were going to name this building, it'd be named after Deb Busey, my opinion. So I will be voting no on the resolution.
Any other questions, comments? Okay. So can I get a motion to,
So moved.
okay, Ingram? Second? Anyone? Block? Okay, all in favor of the resolution naming County Plaza Building in honor of Scott M. Bennett? Aye. And all opposed? Okay, motion passes, but will be held off the consent agenda. And then down to I, discussion on the Humane Society property. Take it away.
Okay, so at our last in-person meeting, we asked basically for a straw poll to allow us to go talk with the Humane Society about pricing and sale. We've done that, came back, I thought, with pretty good thoughts. They did an appraisal, they came back at $500 and some odd $1,000. Ours came back at $450. They have 4 years remaining on their contract with us at $7,000 a year. They're willing to take that off of the price at $450. So we've, for all intents and purposes, negotiated a sale price of $422,000. We talked to them about either a upfront cash purchase or potentially a lease to purchase. Basically, they're funding the loan. It's not really a loan. We get full use of the building, gets titled to us, and we just pay them over a 10-year period. Tammy's not as thrilled with that option. The auditor's got some objections to it as well. Talked with Steve today, and he's just worried of, he sees some of the overruns, some of these unforeseen things at County Plaza, and, just wants to make sure that there's plenty of dollars available. So, a cash price versus over a 10-year period is a little bit more enticing, I think, to him. Although he was not aware of some of the other funding that's available. The interest off of both bonds. There's a little bit of extra in the capital campaign that's not been formatted for anything at this point. So I do think, the interest rate is okay at 3.74%. But again, if you've got the dollars to pay for it, and it is budgeted within our capital campaign, capital asset fund for this year, actually we put in 450,000. So at 422, there's a savings. I think it's a terrific building for our animal control folks. They've been through it. Our new director there took the initiative and somehow found a way in. And for all intents and purposes, there's some things that he wants to change. He wants to add some runs outside, but I think they've got other funding to help with that. At some point, we'll have to get into the HVAC system there and do some work for him there. But there's not any real big modifications that need to take place for us to make the move and transition into that building. It'll be a much better climate for not only the staff, but also for the animals in our care. Keep in mind their current facility, only a few offices have window air conditioner units. The animal locations have no AC. They've got, big swamp fans and a couple of big ceiling fans, but there's no AC anywhere else in the building. It's got a funky power situation. So this will be a much better facility for them, and gives them some space to create some outdoor runs so they can move some animals outside while they're cleaning cages. Right now they're hopping from one open one to another, and it's very tight, frankly. And, they're trying to minimize any injuries due to bites. We see this as a good opportunity for the county. It's on county property. And the Humane Society has to have our approval to do anything with the property since it's on county property. Obviously we would hesitate to allow just anybody to come in there, and prefer it honestly be us. So
Yeah,
I
I
throw that
agree.
out to you guys as
It's,
ask questions or a motion to move this thing forward.
yeah, I know we had talked about how difficult it would be with the lease situation and us as the owners of the property to fill that space. I feel like at this point, it really comes down to, are we still able to discuss the purchase method, or are we coming at this looking to approve the 10-year as laid out here?
I think, well, I know where Tammy's coming from. She'd like to circle on, paying up cash, paying the 422 out of this year, and purchasing it outright. That is a savings. You're going to save, that 3.74 on a 10-year basis adds up.
So any other questions, discussion on that?
Hey, I'm sorry, Jen. Mr. Negative here tonight. Must be my grumpy old farmer coming out in me. I understand the need for animal control to expand. I understand the need for the coroner's office to understand. But we just spent $396,692 in change orders tonight. That's the building. Has somebody told me, are we gonna start working on a plan to sell this building? I think we're getting close enough. It needs to be a plan put together and listing this building for sale. As brought up to me by another constituent, now we have another building on our campus that we have no say-so for here in about 6 weeks. So, I understand some of the needs, but I look at dollars every day of the year. And we're got over a year and a half left on our projects, and we've already $396,000 over. So again, I'm gonna be a no.
Kyle?
Just out of curiosity, it says further there will likely be some kind of personal property left for animal control when we leave. What does that mean?
That means that they left some desks and offices, file
Okay.
cabinets. They left some cages. Yeah, they took kind of the newer stuff that they had, plus they purchased for their new facility what they needed and left here. And they did let us know that they were leaving that. So we can either choose to take it or use it or not, should we buy it.
So it's not like junk. So it's not like junk. It's useful. Okay, because I saw the term personal property. It was like, they were like mini fridges. Like, what is?
I guess on the not the purchase order, sorry, the change orders, is the 396 that you were saying, is that taking into account the plus orders, or is that just the net of all the?
No, I did not add that
Okay.
85,000 back in, but I'm just saying.
I'm just trying to make you feel a little better.
I understand.
Yeah. Oh, sorry.
That's all right. No, I'm just saying, Ellie brought up, I mean, completion date. We're still a long way to go. And, if somebody tells me we're gonna get $3 million for this building, makes things, in my mind, where I run numbers every day of the year, it makes things easier. So right now, I'm gonna be against it. I
Oh, no,
I hope you see where I'm
I
coming from.
do. I
Yeah.
absolutely do. Yeah. I was just curious. Like, I know we've talked about money that remains in ARPA funding that's unallocated, and I was curious. And I guess if I know Stephanie wasn't going to be here tonight, but if that's an option for funding any of this, because I know that was more than the cost of the facility that we still had unallocated. But I know there was also discussion of putting that unallocated funding towards some more community-focused projects. I don't know if another brick and mortar building falls into that. So I'd be curious to hear other people's thoughts on that, if anybody has any.
Well, I don't have any idea how anybody else is gonna vote. And if it passes, and it's none of my, you know how I feel. But this is something that needs to be discussed with the full board anyway. I mean, it shouldn't go on consent agenda again, Kyle, in my opinion.
Just a couple of comments. One, don't hold out for $3 million, because that's not going to happen. Okay, we
Jennifer's buried treasure.
Buried treasure, right?
Nobody's found it yet. I will remind you that, we had the Elias facility appraised, and, it's got quite a bit of square footage too. That was about $2 million. So, that may be a little bit more realistic, but again, I don't know what you can sell it for. So please don't use a number. The second thing, we have discussed starting to meet, but this summer, on a variety of issues. One of them is having some discussion, so maybe at a meeting upcoming. I know we're off for the month of July, but maybe either June or August, we can have a discussion or a study session for what to do with this building. We're also need to start scheduling some things for the courthouse. We've got some square footage that will be vacated on the first floor with the public defender moving over eventually to the county plaza when it opens up. That project right now is slated to be done in March of '24. How realistic is that? That's probably going to slide. I'm telling the folks in our building that, if it's July or if it's August, that's great. If it happens a little bit sooner, which is certainly possible, no problem. But anyway, we need to start meeting about that. So point well taken, Stan, on this building, because it is time to start having some legitimate conversations about what to do with this building. We've got people here who have leases in the building, both the Urbana Park District, the state's attorney, the Attorney General's office, RPC. They're going to want, kind of want to know what their future is and what's going to happen as well. They need as much time as possible. So your point is well taken, that there needs to be discussion, but we have talked about it. I know Steve's also met with RPC on several occasions, kind of talking about, the long-term future. So we'll get that scheduled, put it on the agenda.
All right, any other questions or discussion on this item? Ms. Lapp?
I don't know if anyone actually is even going to have an answer to this question, but when I hear that the animals are in unair-conditioned cages and there's very small and there's bite concerns, just knowing the bad press that animal control got during the accidental euthanasia kerfuffle a year or so ago, I feel like we'd be opening ourselves up to lawsuits if we left it as it is right now. And I don't know if anyone else has been in the former Humane Society building recently. It's not bad. It's not bad. I've got 2 cats from there. I spent a lot of time in there. It would be an upgrade to what we have now. And if there's no plan to move animal control elsewhere, if there's no plan to move the coroner elsewhere, if we still do need storage, maybe moving according to, here's a better place for the animals, now the coroner can expand, might not be the worst idea, regardless of what we ultimately do with this building where we're sitting right now. And so I'm with you. I don't want to like keep amassing buildings like we're in Monopoly and I've got all of them, but it seems like this one building might still be in our best interest. And if Tammy's saying we should buy it with cash, I support Tammy.
Well, I do think keeping it off the consent agenda will also give us the opportunity to discuss that as a full board, which would be probably more beneficial than us making that call right here. So I think what we're looking to do is go back to this page. Approve that we want to make the purchase as the facilities committee. So if I could get a motion to approve the purchase of the Humane Society facility. Anyone want to move?
Are we also, in making the motion, are we moving to approve it as per the
That's what
lease to own part?
I don't think that we are agreeing to the terms. I think we're agreeing just that we want to move forward with that purchase. And then I would think leaving it off the consent agenda gives us the opportunity to discuss as a full board, like whether we think moving forward as a 10-year term or a cash purchase would be more prudent for us, and how we want to fund that. So does anyone want to move this forward? I'll move it. All right, Mr. Harper moves it forward.
I'll second.
Mr. Ingram seconds. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Nay. So I think there's 3-2 then? 3 carries, okay. Okay. All right, so that moves us forward. There's no other business from me. Our next meeting is June 6th at 6:30 p.m. I will be sending out a reminder well in advance and making sure that people RSVP for the next meeting. Items to be placed on the consent agenda are, and forgive me because there are scribbles all over this page today. We are going to have item 6C, E, F, and then that's it for the consent agenda. Yes. Okay. And seeing no other business, I think we are adjourned at 7:52 p.m. Thank you.